Welcome to the last week of October. We are in, um,
We live?
Yeah.
we are live. You in a good mood.
Yep.
Like John Witherspoon then just died.
Oh damn.
That's the way to start, I guess.
Yeah, you feel me?
He would
What's
have
going?
wanted us to be in a movie like
What?
That
that.
is
You
true
feel
though.
me?
That is true. He was a funny guy. R.I.P. to John Witherspoon.
Facts.
Um, you better run for cover, you sweet little thing.
Facts.
My love.
Let's
What's going
introduce
on?
ourselves first, if you don't
Oh
mind.
yeah, my fault.
I'm Aj. This is live at 9, of course.
This is live at 9, and I'm Barry.
And we got a special guest in the building.
Introduce yourself, let the people know who you are.
Hey guys, I'm Z. Z Jones.
Z Jones, we here.
Yeah.
So, tell us about a little bit, like a background about yourself.
Background. I was born in Brooklyn.
Hey, there we go.
Brooklyn
That's
in
the
the
way to
house.
start.
The best borough.
Born and raised.
It's the only borough. I don't know
Facts.
any other boroughs.
Facts.
As you say, facts. Something like that, enthusiastically. Grew up in Brooklyn on Flatbush, aka the Caribbean. Central. I'm Jamaican, as well as
Hey.
Chinese.
Oh.
Yeah, I got some background. Got some ancestry in there.
You said Chinese,
Yeah, Jamaican Chinese.
Jamaican and Chinese, like that's like your mom is Jamaican.
Both my parents are from Jamaica. My mom's side has Chinese and Irish.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like very like my grandmother. You wouldn't think she has a Jamaican accent.
Oh, she just speaks like
Yeah.
straight Chinese.
She
or-
looks like straight up Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting because like I like seeing mixed things mixed around and you see how it turns out and everything. So it's like
Yeah.
that's good. Like you can see the Jamaican and the Asian.
Yeah.
Do you watch anime?
I do.
Okay.
I
So-
do.
She's Asian. She has to watch anime.
Yeah.
No, it was a question to follow
I
up.
watch anime.
Not a racist statement. It's a stereotypical one. Right? It's different.
Oh, that makes it better.
Ooh.
Nah, the
difference in
If she asked me
language.
if I like fried chicken, I'd be like, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's
I
the
like
same
fried
thing.
chicken too.
So you like and the Asians make fried chicken as well.
Come on.
Korean fried chicken. Well, you Japanese, you said.
I'm Chinese.
Chinese, I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
It's okay. It's okay. People
Alright.
wouldn't know when I'm walking down the street. It's funny.
We all black, in my opinion. If you're not white, you black. You know what I'm saying? Being hated on for some kind of reason. So
Yeah.
that just means that you're good at cooking and you're good at math.
Facts.
That's actually true.
So yeah, so close to that. You know what I'm saying? We get no ring dings tonight.
Ring ding. Oh man.
So Halloween is tomorrow.
It is.
And before the show, we were talking about like different Halloween costumes. What was your like most memorable Halloween costume? You would say?
Most memorable. I will say my favorite. My favorite was actually I was Tinkerbell one year when I
Oh.
was a little kid, and my sister was Mulan.
Okay.
So I guess that was like a moment of us. I think that was like one of our like only costumes where we were allowed to actually like trick or treat.
And then you was trick or treating in the hood or in the good neighborhoods?
It was like that in between. I'm starting to have this area in my life where I'm starting to realize like where I grew up wasn't the hood, but it also was like not the good. And when I got older, I realized that a lot of my area, when you walk like 2 blocks either direction, it almost looks suburban. So a lot of like movies and television was filmed there.
Okay,
like The
okay.
Good Wife and stuff.
Oh wow.
Okay, The Good Wife. Oh yeah, that's a
Or-
show that comes up. It got canceled, right?
I don't know if it got canceled, but I don't think it's on anymore.
Or maybe
Yeah.
it just did so good that they finished
Yeah,
it.
like they finished it. I think it's like The Good Wife, stuff like Fringe, and it was like shows I like really didn't watch.
Yeah, I was like, I've heard of those names, but I never really watched it.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Ade? What was your favorite? What was your most memorable costume?
My most memorable. Oh yeah, I easily remember this one. I'd say, well, like the most memorable probably I was a Snorlax when I was a kid,
that's
Oh
dope.
wow, that's good.
and my costume was fire back then. That's when like Pokemon was like in its prime. So like,
I know you be putting a lot of details in your costumes.
oh
so
yeah, I had the
so-
whole. I had the feet.
Yeah.
I was carrying food around me, looking like a real fat ass. You feel me? Like,
I wish you had a picture you could have posted.
I wish I did too, bro.
Yeah. That would have been fun.
Funny.
What about you?
We would need the Z's coming out from the side.
My most memorable, I would say I was a skeleton, and I remember it the most because I would never wear no underwear under that costume, just because I just
Okay.
like felt like I just felt like free outside. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
that was most memorable. I was that for like 3 years in a row.
I mean, skeletons don't have that.
That's what I was
So.
saying. That was the whole point. That was my whole point. So I was like, you know, you came in the way you leave, and like I felt very free to be outside with like the silk costume and just be like Skeletori. Like it was dope. It was
Nice.
the closest thing I think I'll ever be to like a skeleton. So
Okay.
Oh, okay.
yeah, Halloween
It's insightful.
for me. And then one year I was the high scream. I was kind of young. I had the scream tongue mask with the tongue out.
Okay.
I was like the high scream.
Nah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because you know how he was like, wah, wah. He was
Yeah.
those smacks. So I was that one, yeah.
Oh,
That's about it.
Did you tell people like chilling, killing?
Yeah, you know, 'cause that was one of my favorite movies, scary movie
Yeah.
at that time. Like that, like it really went over my head a lot of the stuff. Like so, like now that I watched how old, I was like, wow, like that was crazy. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happened in that movie that I did not understand. But yeah. So.
Oh yeah, first thing, shout out to Mama Berry for the shirts.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is also the end of breast cancer awareness.
You know,
month.
it's a little big, Mama Berry, but you know, I'm still rocking. You know.
You're gonna fill it out. Don't worry.
Yeah, we were.
And one day
Grown boy.
you gonna hit the gym.
Yeah, Mike, you might take some steroids. You feel me? To speed
Yeah.
up the process, but you know.
I got some in my book bag.
Wow.
So like, tell us about yourself. So you're a performance artist, writer.
Yeah.
Like what kind of stuff do you do?
So all of it. I pretty much am actually just started really thinking about what I might do in terms of music because I always wanted to write musicals.
Okay.
So right now I'm learning the piano to be able to compose.
Oh.
But I have like a background in theater, a background in I guess movement. You know, I want to say dance, but my girlfriend's a dancer, so I feel like she'll be like,
You don't dance better than me.
You don't dance. But people know me for dancing from when I was in high school and college, and pretty much, I write all over for just people in different communities, especially a lot of the communities I'm a part of. I'm part of like a whole bunch of demographics. Writing for that, one-person shows.
When you say writing, like, do you mean like journalism, or are you like what kind of writing? As far as say, like, is it like writing music, writing about your experiences, like?
Yeah, like writing my experiences. I think all of those things go under writing of your experiences. But like playwriting, I used to do a lot of people in high school knew me for poetry. I did all like the talent shows and stuff. I just started getting back into like short story writing and being able to. I might go into more film and television writing versus plays.
Okay.
I think I'm a little bit more visual, where I'm able to see scenes in my head. So there's a million films in this head. I just need to get it all on paper right now. So that's been the challenge. But yeah, and I also do drag. I'm a drag king.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to. I was just trying to lead way into that because that's what piqued my interest, because it's like I've always heard of drag queens, but I've never heard the term, and I never actually met a drag king.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind explaining what a drag king is for those who may not know, and how did you make this your home? Like,
so it's pretty much the same thing, just in male impersonations, right? So it's funny when people are like, I've never heard of a drag king. And it's like, well, if there's a queen, there should be a king, right?
it should be.
And my interest in it actually peaked from reading. I read a book called Stonewall Blues by Leslie Feinberg. If I messed it up, I'm sorry. But I read that book, and it talked about this young person who is kind of understanding themselves pre-Stonewall, so before people really knew like the gay community was out there. And was talking about how drag kings were kind of like the male suitors or the protectors in the gay bars for the drag queens who were doing these shows, and they would, have they would do some shows too, but they would be kind of like the person who was supporting them or protecting them. And I took a lot of pride in that, and I started doing research on drag kings of color in New York City and history, and I came across a lot of people who were legendary in Stonewall, and I started kind of wondering where I fit in all of that and why that story isn't being told anymore. And when I was
So,
in DC, it became a huge thing.
so for people who don't know, from what I understand, Stonewall Inn is like the first gay club for. Am I wrong?
No, so Stonewall was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a bar.
Yeah, bar or
It was a
something.
bar that a lot of like gay people would go to, but at the time it was illegal. It was illegal. I think the law was you couldn't wear, you had to wear at least 3 articles of clothing that went with your quote unquote sex or gender at the time. So people like me who don't wear, women who don't wear women's clothing were arrested and everything like that. So they were raiding the gay bars. The police were raiding the gay bars, and at Stonewall they raided it, and the people didn't take it anymore, and they pretty much rioted back, and that kind of started the whole
Like
pride
revolution.
movement. Yeah, the civil or like gay rights movement.
Okay. So you said the drag kings were protecting the drag queens who were performing at the Stonewall place, the bar.
Well, they were like the protectors, so they weren't necessarily like the guards or anything like that, but they were more of, while the queens were maybe like doing a show, the kings were kind of like the males that they will fawn over, or they were the ones that will do the show with them, but they were like their male companion. So it was more of like a companion partnership versus
So like,
such the separation it is now.
so it's like, let's say if they was doing like let's say who's let's say they was doing like Rick James and Tina Marie
Oh yeah,
song.
yeah.
Like the drag queen would be Tina Marie, and then
Yes.
the drag king would be
Rick
Rick
James,
James.
yes.
So that's what you mean by like being a counterpart kind of thing. Like,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
got you.
So sometimes, like one person in particular, Stormy or Stormay, was like the one drag king in this kind of like drag queen circuit or circle, and so they were like the person that everybody kind of went to and fawned over. Like they would do a show and it would be like around him, and or that I would say him because they're the drag king, so it's like him. But I don't really know what their gender pronouns were. Um, but yeah, pretty much. Like, and for me, I do shows with other kings or maybe with burlesque dancers, and I'm a little bit more theatrical,
Okay.
so I'm able to not just be the person you will fawn over, but the person who will probably do a whole show to a person. So um, my
How how um how did your first show as a drag king go?
It went well. I actually was a part of a troupe out in DC called Pretty Boy Drag.
Okay.
And they're amazing. Most of the kings are kings of color, which I guess was not that common at the time. And I did my first show as a brunch. It was a drag brunch. And I did like a Bruno Mars song, and I guess I was really nervous, so I just did a lot of grinding. But people loved it. I made a lot of money, and I don't know if a lot of people know, but like drag queens or a lot of people who do shows like that, they throw tips at them. So at the time, I was like making a lot of money because people would like, throw like singles or fives, or some people. There was one person who always had $2 bills, and they would always throw $2 bills.
Probably was $2 bill Steve.
Yeah, or something like that. But it was really cool to have that. But it went really well.
Do you ever feel degraded if somebody's throwing money at you?
No, actually, we're very big on like safety. So before a lot of people would do like a performance, there's actually a person who's a host that would say like, don't throw the money in the person's face. Don't throw it here. If it's $100, they'll joke around and say like, you could throw it anywhere. But it's a lot about safety, and if people kind of do things that might be degrading, they're like out the door.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got
So I
you,
never
bro.
felt degraded.
Do you feel like you can like when you do that and like you go on runways and stuff? Do you feel like that's the way that you express yourself?
Absolutely. I feel like in my life, I'm definitely a person who tries to bend gender, and it's funny that my drag persona Freddie is very much like kind of like that too. He's like a very like effeminate man, 50s crooner type. So it's allowing me to express that side of me, even though I actually do it in life too.
Gotcha. So what made you come up with that name, Freddie?
Freddie, it's all Freddie Boy Jonesy, and it's a mixture of like Freddie Mercury, Boy George, and Little Richard.
Okay.
So like I try to mush all those together, and at one point they were gonna be like three different personas. So they were gonna be like Freddie Boy, and then it was like Boy Jonesy, and then like Fernando Jones. So I've been working on possibly doing that in the future.
Oh. When did you first start? Like, what age did you feel like, maybe this is something I want to get into, or like, what did you see that like, that looks cool, like I want to start doing that? Like, around what age?
Like for drag kinging?
Yeah.
Well, I read Stonebridge Blues in high school.
Okay.
So that was when I started kind of playing with the idea. But I didn't know, being that the way, I've never heard of it like you guys did. So when I read it in the book, I was just like, well, I don't think these people exist anymore. So I kind of put it in the back of my head where I would bring that art back. And then I found out that, it did exist, and I finally got the opportunity to perform. And it's funny, the first time I performed ever was actually for a Sunday service show. So it was actually a church show, and I was a choir boy. And
Did anybody like? Did you fool anybody? Like anybody?
no, it was literally a drag king church show.
Oh.
So it was at a bar, but the theme was Sunday service.
Okay,
So we
okay.
did like songs that would have some interlude of like church or something like that, but not necessarily gospel.
Okay.
But it was like a play on it, and I was a choir boy. I ended up getting falling out with like a crucifix in my hand, and it was hilarious.
So how do you how can I put this? All right, so being that it was a Sunday service, and you know how like the church is against like homosexuality, do you feel like times have changed where they should not that do you think that like that the rules of the church are kind of like outdated because it's like there's some people that have like I feel like God accepts all, so it's like do you feel like it should still be such a stigma like if they see like if there's gay people like in the church or something like that, like should it be like a big thing, or are people just too like closed-minded?
I think that's a loaded question because there's almost like a divide or this idea that there's an ideal for that. Like there's this idea of that we're all just gonna come in and just feel like everything's accepted, because there's always gonna be people who, whether if it's the congregation or people just in the world, there are always gonna be people who have an opposing view. But I think it becomes a question of coming to a common ground. I wasn't raised in the church, so I don't really completely understand the feeling of either trying to hide that while being in the church, or feeling like my sexuality was at such a high level of interest to other people that like I was like having this battle with my church life and people's ideas of me. So I feel like that's like a loaded question, but it's actually funny to even point out because there are so many people who are drag queens and drag kings. It may not be the majority, but there are a lot of people who are that are straight, So it's very interesting to go into a realm of like doing a church service show, and being able to talk or kind of laugh about like certain ways the church is, or other mega churches are, and then also understand if you're coming into this space that you have to deal with people thinking that you are a part of the LGBT community, which I am, but there are people who are in the circuit and in the community that are not. So it's
So
really
are you saying
interesting.
that there's drag queens and kings that's not LGBTQ?
Yeah.
So you never mind.
I
Like
assume that you like, cause I was just watching Tosh.0, right? And it was it was a little kid that was a drag queen, like a little kid, like he was probably like 9 or 10, some white boy, and he had like the dress and everything on, and he was talking to him, And he was like, I wouldn't say that like a gay person, a drag queen is a gay person, but like if they came out of the closet, you wouldn't be surprised. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it's like, I guess that does make sense that like some people just, it is still like just entertaining other people in just a different kind of way. So
Yeah.
like,
I mean, there's the thing about it is that expression is on a spectrum, just like everything else. So there are like, there are men that I know personally that are straight or claim that they are straight and they are very feminine. They're very much more clean cut. There are women that I know that are a little, quote unquote rougher than me, but they identify however they want to identify, and it becomes that, and then it becomes that question of like sexuality versus gender identity, whatever. It becomes all these questions and these conversations. But there are people who are in the drag community that are either straight or married in heterosexual relationships, and it doesn't really matter.
do the ones that are straight that have a family, do their family still support them? Like let's say for example, I would say like well, Caitlyn Jenner's not really a drag queen, but she's like a
She's trans.
she's trans,
Hmm.
and it doesn't seem like the Kardashians were like. I mean, they supported the transition, but it's like since she's been trans, like it's like she's been on her own kind of journey, like kind of thing. So it's like if they say that there's a family that is a drag, like I said, the guy's a drag queen. Like, do you see like the wife or somebody still supporting them, or is it just like a separate kind of thing? Because it's like also like that could be a separate journey too. Like you're like, you know what? That's something that he likes to do on his side, but like
Yeah.
I ain't trying to really like either way. Like, do you see that, or is it all like a supportive kind of community?
I think every family's different, and the couple of couples that I know, their partner does support them. So like if I'm able to talk about it, I don't really know one of my counterparts. I don't really know as far as I know, they're straight, but they could be whatever. But they're married to a man, um, and he's at like all of our shows. He's at all of our shows. When we talk about him, we're just like, this is Sebastian Katz, who's the drag king, and then this is Man Katz, you know, his husband. And his, because they're drag king, that's the whatever pronouns are they. But, in real life, she and him are married. And he comes to like all the shows.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
So what? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say what do you like to I remember you said you had like a Kanye performance or something like that.
Oh yeah, so one of my signature performances is to Black Skinhead, um, and it's actually about like code switching. So this character has kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde moment all the way through the song, and they start out with like this clean cut. Most of the time I wear a vest because it's easier to take off because I also take off clothes when I do shows. I'm not naked, but I'll take off clothes, certain clothes. So I'll take off things, and he would start with like a necktie and a vest, and hair pulled back. I don't be flat iron my hair pulled back, but ends the whole show, the whole song ends up as a Black Panther. So like beret, jean jacket, leather jacket, um, you know, shirt. It normally says Pretty Boy Drag under it, and I'm like, fist in the air by the end of the song.
Okay.
That's dope. Yeah, I was pretty much gonna ask, do you feel like the drag king stuff that you do in the theater and just everything,
Hmm.
do you feel like that kind of goes hand in hand? Because I feel like the drag king stuff you do probably helps with theater because it helps you, act or put on a role or,
Hmm.
have a certain persona about you. You feel like all that stuff you do goes hand in hand with each other?
Yeah, absolutely. I think drag kinging kind of brings everything together because what people may not really know is that when you're doing drag, oftentimes you have to have a concept, right? So, when I'm like, we would have to submit. So if I'm submitting for a show, I have to kind of give a rundown of what my concept is, why I picked this song, and everything. So it allows me to work on my writing, allows me to know how to create content, know how to advertise for myself, putting myself out there. In New York City, I don't really know many drag kings, much less drag kings of color. So it's being able to put myself in a position where I'm constantly advertising for myself, or I'm looking for other shows, I'm networking with people. And that goes right into theater because if I can come into an audition and say, okay, you may not want me, but hey, I also do drag, and they're like,
You could
we
probably
might
play
need
a
that for
guy.
something else. Or you might, the reason I go by Z Jones is because it's ambiguous. If I apply for something and I'm like, oh, I think I could do this, whether if it's a woman or a man or femme or whatever, I wanted to be able to kind of have that neutral thing when you come in. So when you look at my resume, you're kind of just like, I don't know I don't know who this person is. And if you look at my headshot, I look like a woman, whatever. But
So another question is kind of a double question. Do you feel like the whole drag scene and just the LGBT community is getting more attention and more love now? And my second question is, have you ever felt or received like hate because of what you believe in, of the stuff that you do?
um, I believe that it is getting more love now, but I think it's because more people have been speaking up, and those who have the platform and the power to bring certain issues to light are more common now, or actually coming out more now. Not necessarily out the closet, but being able to be either allies or say, I'm part of the community. And it becomes that kind of saying um, when they say like about children, there are certain children that you gotta bring them up a certain way, or you have to listen to them because they're not gonna be children forever. That's actually something my grandfather said to my eldest sister. Yeah, you're a little child now, but you're not gonna be a child forever, and that child grows up and then becomes our lawmakers and our lobbyists and people in power, business people. So I feel like it's getting more attention now because those who have the power to make change are in those seats. Um, but there've always been issues. They've always been around. It's just times have changed because people are speaking up or being allies. And I think I have the personality that when I was receiving hate, I didn't realize it was happening until much later. So I had I was always a scholar. I was always a person who did really well in school. And I distinctly remember like an award ceremony, and I found out later the lady was not maybe in the best space. But like, she was just saying things to me, and I'm like in high school with her daughter. I'm sorry, her daughter, and she was just saying like all these things to me about, you were trying to get my daughter. I know that voice, and you called my house. I'm like, I don't know who's your daughter. Like, I had no idea what she was talking about, and she was calling me a whole bunch of names like carpet muncher and stuff. And mind you, it's at an award ceremony at my high school, where every subject that they're giving an award for, I get up for. So science, math, English, writing, everything, sports, and at the time I was just like, lady, you crazy. But years later, I was just like, wow, this woman in the middle of like a whole auditorium is calling me all of these things, and I just like it just went over my head because it's like that was just my personality. People would say a lot of things, and some of them felt like it was it was to help me. It was um, because they cared, even though I didn't know them. Um, if I can tell another little story, I walked out of a train station once. I think I was like 16 or 17 at the time, and this woman came up to me and she said, "Excuse me." It's like, yes, because a lot of people come up to me. I don't know what it is. People come up to me.
I was just talking about that.
People just do that. One guy like followed me up the block almost to my house just because he wanted to be my friend. Like, we can't be friends and stuff. I'm like, no, he got off his train, ended up having to go back on his train.
Oh, he didn't just want to be friends.
No, I know he didn't, but at the time, I'm like, whatever. So I would lie a lot. So, but I was walking on, I walked right out the train station. Like, excuse me. I'm like, yes. She's like, how old are you? So I lied. I said, oh, I'm 14. And I was, I knew I was like 16, 17 years old, but I knew she was going to say something crazy. She's like, I just want to let you know, you're so young, you don't have to make decisions about your life. Too
Not to
soon.
laugh with
Too
that.
soon. And I remember thinking, like, who is this lady? I have no
But how did
idea.
she mean it though? Like was it more like?
Did you have like something on you, like a flag, or maybe that
No, I wasn't really much of a flag swing type of like I think I had a belt once from a friend. I like specifically asked for it. Like, I probably wore it once or twice. But no, I wasn't like a rainbow flag carrying type of teenager. I was just myself, and I guess it was the way I was dressed.
So she meant it in like a
She
derogatory.
meant it in a kind of way that was just like, I see what role you going down, sis. And I just want to let you know, you don't have to go there yet. You still have time to choose. And at that time, even when I was 14, I had chosen. I don't think I ever really had the space to say that I wasn't. I did say it. Obviously, a lot of, young people were just like, oh no, whatever. But in my brain, I knew like there really wasn't any other way, and I never really felt any other way. So when she was just like, you don't have to make decisions about your life yet, in my head I was just like, oh, thank you, it's okay. But I was just like, what are you talking about? And it's funny to have that experience at the actual age I was, but to have that experience for
Person in here, because we are like in our community. I don't know what it is in our community, but it's like we glorify lesbianism. So I never really think that y'all have any kind of like backlash from it, even though it would make sense. But it just seems like when they always talk about gay bash, it's always the guys. So it's like I never really think about like, hey, like a female might get like bashed for being gay, like too. So it's like,
well, here's the thing. I see where you're coming from. So the glorifying of lesbianism, as you call it, is the glorifying of it in a sexual way.
yeah,
You
not
know?
really, yeah, exactly.
So it would say like, oh, that's okay, because I'll watch. I'm down for that. Whether if it's a man, woman, whoever. But when it comes to, oh no, it's okay, we don't need you to watch, or oh no, I'm in a committed relationship, or no, I'm married, or no, I'm engaged, or oh no, this is actually a serious, whoa, you're not supposed to do that. Then it becomes a different conversation. But then it becomes a property conversation, because it goes from, just the way women are viewed as property or sexual objects. So when it's girl on girl, whether if it's actually, two lesbians or not, it's glorified because, okay, we're sexual objects. But when it becomes a thing of when I go out in my life and my career and everything like that, it becomes a thing of like, wait, there's no man? Like you mean there's no one? So who's taking care of you? Who's watching over you? Who's protecting you? Because all those questions, unless those same guys grew up with girls who used to beat them up, or, used to be able to handle them, and they had an older sister that knew how to, shake them up a bit, then it's like, and most of those guys are just like, yo, I'm cool with, whoever, because they know
that female
you're
can take care of themselves.
you can take care of yourself. But yeah, it becomes that different conversation.
Okay, yeah, I can understand how that would be annoying as well too, because it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like you say, you have somebody walk you from the train, and it's like.
Well, he tried to, but I didn't, He came up behind me. He said, oh, excuse me. I just thought you were so pretty. I was like, oh, thank you. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm actually gay. Really?
That's
Well,
why I
you know,
said it. That's why he was like,
really?
he was like, really?
Yeah. And nothing. It's something I've been thinking about lately, and I feel like I might this might sound bad, but it's, I get a lot like, you're too pretty. You're too pretty for that. And it's almost like this idea of like, well, what? like,
Nah, I understand.
like,
Yeah.
there's no way. Like, if you saw me and my girlfriend walking down the street, there's people ask if we're related. They ask if we're sisters, because it's just like, there's no way. Like, this is a serious. It's like, yeah, it's very serious.
Yeah, 'cause it's like I just feel like some people have an immature thinking that like, you know, some people are even with guys or anybody that like they're that way because they couldn't get with the right rate, like whatever they think like, oh, like, well, they couldn't be like a regular person, so they chose that lifestyle. So it's like they just assume that if you a pretty person or like you're an attractive person, that like I've seen a lot of like girls be like, man, why all the good looking guys gotta be gay? And it's like maybe you looking at gay guys that are good looking, like there's some good looking guys like me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I feel like those people. I think that like there's this secret thing of being attracted to the energy, right? So like sometimes it's like, why all the good-looking guys gotta be gay? It's like, well, no, it's not all the good-looking guys that are gay. It's just that you're looking at guys who give a certain energy,
I
right?
think they giving up the energy that they don't want you, and that's what's.
No. I think it's
They're
more like there are some women that are attracted to, the softer side or the, quote unquote femininity in a man. And sometimes those men are gay, because there are some men that I'm just like, let's go. Like, this is it for me. Like, there have been men in my life that I've just been like, oh my God, I would totally date you. But it's just like, I wouldn't like really date you.
So I don't get it. What does that mean?
They were all gay.
Oh, okay. But
They're
if
all
they
gay
were
men.
straight, would you date them?
No, because I'm not straight. But like they're feminine. Like they're the voguing guys. They're the ones who the commentators. They're the ones that are like, when they see me, they're attracted to my masculinity, and I'm attracted to their femininity. But then it's like, but I don't like want to actually be with you. But it's just like, I like you. You're so much fun because they're feminine.
Well, no, it's like the same thing with straight or gay. It's like when you have a friend that like you really rock with and like you
Yeah.
hella cool with. It's like
Yeah.
it's like I'm not gonna date you, but I'll date you because you hella cool.
Yeah.
Type
It's kind of like that, but it's just like I just wouldn't like actually be like building a life with this person. But it's just like, it's really funny if you really go into the community, even as whoever, if you just really go into these certain realms, you're just like, it doesn't really matter because it becomes like an energy thing. Like I said, there have been guys that I've been around and I'm just like, I'm just fawning over, like, oh my God, you're so cute. But it's just like they're more feminine guys, and like I said, there are some people who have been attracted to my masculinity, which I'm still figuring out.
Do you think some guys are attracted to your masculinity because they lack that masculinity themselves?
Straight guys?
Yeah.
That they're lacking it? No, I think that guys who are attracted to my masculinity may not realize that they are, and some of them I feel like that they have. Some of them I think might have challenges with their sexuality, because like I think there was somebody was having an argument of like like, oh, I'll mess with like young MA.
Well, nah, see, they wilding.
That's it right there. Like, she still got it. It don't matter under all that clothes, she still got. And then it becomes this question of like, really?
That's wild. See,
And for you it's wild because you're like, nah, that's
no,
that's the whole.
No, only because she's clearly like not even like looking for that kind of energy.
Under the clothes, right? Like,
nah, like she could definitely be the homie. We could go look for some girls.
That's what I'm saying. Certain
yeah,
men
like
who
that's
feel
what I'm
like that,
saying.
they're not attracted to that, but some guys are like, yeah, still under it, like, haha. But it's like, nah, man.
Like it's like for you to even think about what she has on under it is kind of like it's questionable.
It almost makes you feel like, yo, you gay? Like, it's a female, I understand, but
I can't lie. Like I like me like some aggressive female cops. Like I ain't even gonna lie. Like they can lock me up
that's 'cause we
and
out here in
leave
New
me
York.
in the car. You know what I'm saying? And I'll wait for them to come back. Hopefully they will. But I'm not gonna be sitting there looking for no like Miss Cleo. Like you out there looking for it. Like that's just
No,
I mean, it's nothing wrong with it. Maybe that's your type. I'm not even gonna judge nobody.
Yeah,
you like what
yeah.
you like, bro. I remember Kodak Black was like, yeah, yo, young M.A. can get it. And if that's how he feel, I mean, he has been to jail a few times, so it's like, we don't know.
What does that have to do?
Don't do it.
What does that have to do with him being attracted to young and
It
May?
don't have nothing
Wait,
to
so
do
let me
with
ask
it.
this because I asked a couple other people this. Do you think if I was attracted to young and May, would you consider me or think of me as gay just because I'm like?
In the back of my mind.
But why?
Why? Because there's a lot of girls, like out of all the girls, that's the only girl you attracted
Out of all
to.
the female rappers.
I'm not saying like I'm not attracted to anyone else. I'm just saying she's attractive. Like, for example, I'm just saying for example, if I'm using myself hypothetically speaking.
I wouldn't think you was gay though. No, nah. I would think you were weird.
Why am I weird?
Ain't nothing wrong with being weird. I'm weird too.
But why you think I'm weird because of that?
Well, I would just ask why.
I would
Like, what
ask,
about
I would
her
be
is
like, what
attractive?
about her attracts you? That's what I would ask.
I mean, you'd have to ask that person,
I'm
but
asking, but you're hypothetically that person.
I guess that person would say maybe she got, swag. She dresses nice. You feel me?
Oh,
She
okay,
dresses
I
like
feel
a
that.
guy though.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
There's guys that dress like her.
Okay, okay, but she's not. But she's not a guy.
I mean, yeah,
Alright.
I wouldn't. Obviously, I wouldn't be like, oh, you gay. You
Nah, I
know,
would
like
just.
that's not what I
But
would
if
say.
that's what you was
but,
attracted to,
but I
is
would
the
be
swag.
like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's
Who else do
interesting.
you find attractive?
Yeah,
know,
it's like
and
I
then
would
it
want
would
to
be
know the
like-
list of people because it can't be that. It got to be along those lines. Like you probably be like Queen Latifah. Like it's gonna keep
Oh
on
my
going.
God.
Like I feel like you're gonna stay in that realm if that's what you like.
So I'm guessing you don't find Queen Latifah that.
I like Queen Latifah. I ain't gonna lie. But
Honestly, Queen Latifah could do whatever she wants.
and bringing down the
She
house,
can
she
do
was looking
whatever
good.
she wants.
No, that's a fact.
And then some. I'm definitely
Yeah.
gonna watch her as Ursula.
I'll chill with younger me. I ain't got
Poor
no problem
unfortunate
with
soul
nobody.
to me. I am a poor. I am unfortunate. I am a soul.
Fact.
Oh, you gonna call?
We are supposed to be expecting a caller soon, Natasha Breeden. But in the meantime, we had another question.
Yeah, cool.
So how does your family are they cool with everything that you do and stuff like that, and like your sexuality and stuff like that?
Yeah, like my immediate family.
Yeah, like the people close to you and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just goes back to like what I said. It was uh, everybody knew. Like everybody knew. Really wasn't a question. It was less like, okay, well, when is she gonna come out? I think I came out to one of my older sisters, the one who's in the middle, when I was like 14, and I was like, I have something to tell you. And it was like really hard for me to tell her. And she's like, are you like coming out to me right now? And I'm just like, yeah. Isn't it obvious? And she's just like, I had no idea. And I'm like, come on. And I guess maybe she didn't, but it was just like ever since I was little. I think my eldest sister, she's 11 years older than me, so she was, much older. And they were, I think about it now, like we went to like the supermarket and like, people would say stuff and they were, you need to watch her and everything. I had family members that, would say certain things that were just like, well, if she doesn't do this, she'll just end up like this. And, my mom always tried to protect me from that. And I want to give her credit because she didn't try to protect me from it because she didn't want it to be true. She wanted to protect me from it because she knew that those people were trying to break me down or were just saying crazy stuff. And I just remember like feeling like I knew that they were right, but I also didn't know what they were saying. I knew that what they were saying wasn't. So my immediate family is fine. Outside of that, I believe everybody else is fine. My close cousins are fine. I don't know if my grandmother knows. I think my grandfather knew. Like my dad, I think knows. But he's, a whole other conversation on
That's a whole
sexuality
other-
and gender.
Different. How do you feel about the different genders that are coming about now?
What do you mean?
Um, it's like now, like I feel like there's more of a like they're trying to make people more comfortable with being themselves. So it's like some people they don't have to choose their gender until they're like I know there's few families that are not they're letting their children choose their gender. There are more like more places that are receptive to people. Like there's like all gender bathrooms. I remember we worked at a place called the NFL Experience where they had like a gender neutral bathroom. So it's like there's still pushback, but then there's still progress at the same time. So how would you feel as far as like the generation that's coming up behind you? Do you feel like they have it more easier than you would have it as far as when you were younger growing up?
I don't want to say easier. I feel like as time goes on, there's always going to be things to fight for, and there's always going to be things to shift towards. And I think that those who are not a part of whatever community is, no, it's fine.
Just the right number.
It should be the right number.
Whichever people are not a part of whatever communities are kind of advancing in certain areas, will feel like, oh, it's like so many things are happening, because it's like, you know, when you are cisgendered, you don't really have to think about gender, or you don't think it's a thing that you have to think about. Or if you're a person who is, um, you know, your expression and your gender and your sex all match, you don't realize that they all can be separate things. So I think the generation behind me doesn't necessarily have it easier. I think there's always going to be something. There might be something for their generation to have to overcome. I do think that in this time right now, I'm becoming more and more understanding that there is some pushback in a lot of things. But I think, I mean, I might get flack for this, but I think that the more people are pushing, okay, the more people are becoming allies in certain things or pushing certain things, a lot of them become the aggressor in certain situations. Not saying that the people who are on the privileged side of things should not be getting pushback, but I'm starting to see like how
They're getting more.
Those dynamics are becoming very interesting to me. And as a person who is, I guess, gender nonconforming or doesn't fit really in the binary, I'm able to be on the outside. I'm on the outside looking in while still being on the inside, you know, understanding the complexities of it, but also like understanding that like it some people just may not understand. It's not my job to make them understand, nor is it my job to keep them always in ignorance. I think it's their job to want to learn and come to that
yourself.
humbly. Yeah, come to it humbly. I just had a conversation with a friend who I knew he meant well, but when you're coming into a realm that you don't understand, you don't have experience with, you have to come to it humbly. And he was trying to draw from other realms that he felt like were connected. I'm like, that's actually completely different. So I had to, not because of him, but because of the fragility of male or masculinity, I had to kind of lightly be like, we get to come to it humbly, you know, versus, you know, I can hit you over the head with it. And that's just the way the world is. But as a woman, or as a person who has a female experience, I almost kind of retreat to the black man of bringing it to you softly, like, it's okay, you done fucked up, you know, but that's all right. We still love you.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
You know,
Is that?
I mean, everybody make mistakes. You know, you can't be mad at somebody for being ignorant. That's how I say you can't be mad. You can educate them or just let them learn on their own.
I can't be mad at them for being ignorant. I can't be mad if they're completely just
want to be ignorant.
they're defiant in their ignorance.
We have a quick phone call that we've trying to been getting to for a while. So without further ado, a good friend of mine, a friend of the family, Natasha Breeden, she's been in a long fight with breast cancer, and we wanted to end breast cancer with just hearing her story. So Natasha, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, how's it going?
Everything's going well.
That's good. We just wanted to get like a quick like your experience of like just how things have been going for you since you found out the news. Because I've noticed that you had a very positive attitude. I just want to let you know that it's definitely inspiring to see you keep the fight going.
Facts.
Thank you. I mean, everything's been, I guess a challenge, you know, just challenging me, my faith, my strength, as time goes on. From the beginning, you know, I was faced with some big news, you know, they were basically putting bone cancer on me and saying that it, you know, if I have it, it would be a terminal illness. So during that time when I got the news, it was like, you know, I basically had to, you know, say to myself that if I only have a few days to live or a few months to live, am I okay with it? Did I do everything I needed to do in life? But then when they did the biopsy, everything came back good. And, you know, they said, okay, you don't have bone cancer, but you do have HER2 positive breast cancer. So I was able to, you know, take a little load off of my shoulders because I know that that illness wasn't terminal and it could be treated. And, you know, it just brought my family and my friends closer, let me know who's here for me and who's not. And, you know, during the time I was going for my treatments and stuff, I most definitely did have support here and there from all over. People were coming, just wanting to sit, you know, beside me. And, you know, they were curious just to see how the treatments go. So that was pretty cool. And I just learned a lot during, you know, along the way because there's a lot of things that I didn't know when it came to cancer. I always thought if you have breast cancer, you just have straight up breast cancer, but I didn't know there was so many different forms and types of cancer until I was actually diagnosed and was able to sit down with the doctor and he explained to me, okay, no, this cancer you have is, you know, is aggressive. The one that your friend might have had in the past is not aggressive, you know? So
Right.
it was most definitely a wake-up call.
Yeah. Hey, Natasha. I just had a quick question. Do you feel like not just breast cancer patients, but people who are going through it in general, who have cancer and stuff, do you feel like people are more do you feel like people aren't educated enough, or do you feel like we should probably be more knowledgeable about it? Because I feel like we know about breast cancer, but like I feel like a lot of people aren't educated enough on it. So what is your opinion on that, I guess?
Most definitely. Like I said before, I didn't really know much about breast cancer until I was actually put in the predicament. And the same thing goes for my family, my immediate family. Even with bone cancer, when they diagnosed me with bone cancer, I remember saying to the doctor, like, oh, well, you can just shave a piece of the bone where the cancer's at and I'll be good. And she was like, that's not how it goes. Like, once you have it, it's in you. You know, we can't get rid of it. It's been metastasized. I didn't even know what the term metastasized was, you know? And then I started to, like, do my research along with whatever the doctor was giving me, and I became more aware of what was going on. And now that I'm put in that predicament, I'm not only, you know, telling my family, immediate or extended, but I'm most definitely telling my friends and people on the outskirts that, you know, want to know about it. I'm willing to tell them. I'll even get pamphlets from Susan G. Komen just to give them, you know, some fun facts or whatever, you know, on breast cancer. So I would most definitely say, you know, if you don't know about breast cancer, please go on Susan G. Komen's site, go on the American, not even just breast cancer, but just cancer in general. Go on the American Cancer Society website, do your research. Even when you go to your doctor's office, ask your doctor, you know, if they have any information on it, because they always, you know, oncologists for sure will always have information on breast cancer. What else was I about to say? And, you know, it's just good to share that information. Now that I'm out there, I most definitely don't have a problem sharing that information. I most definitely don't have a problem with even going with people to get breast exams done, you know. I think it's important now, you know, to check yourself every single day when you're in the shower. Men and women, they need to check themselves just to see if they, you know, their breast is changing, they feel a lump, or maybe something might be leaking out. You know, for me, my breast was changing, and it actually changed overnight. But I thought, oh, it was so drastic that I thought, okay, it may not be cancer. And a lot of people are like, oh, if it's a lump, it's just probably a cyst. You can't go by what people say. You have to actually go for yourself and not be scared. And even if you don't have insurance, still go, because now that I'm in this predicament, I know that there's organizations out there that will help you with paying your bills, your medical bills, or even getting insurance, you know. So that was my biggest fear, because at the time I was transitioning from one job to the next. Would I have the insurance to cover me? But you can't be scared. You have to go and get yourself tested. You have to go, you know, get yourself a physical exam, breast exam done. And just, you know, if you're scared, you need to probably tell someone to go with you. So for me, now that I'm in that situation, I don't have a problem, you know, saying, okay, if I have a friend that wants to get a breast exam done and she's scared or he's scared, I'm willing to go with them, you know,
Right.
just to get the fear out of them, to let them know it's okay. It may not be that that serious, but it's just best to get it done, looked at, and be free, free-minded. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, we really thank you for calling. We're running short on time, so just like tell us real quick about your GoFundMe, because we got it in our bio and our IG page for our listeners. Listeners, viewers, like they'll be able to check out the link in our bio for the GoFundMe. If you just want to give like a brief description about it.
On the GoFundMe,
Yeah.
when you say a description, what do you mean?
Like just like talk about because I know is it for
Like, where can they like support you? Like, is that the best way for someone to support
Yeah.
you?
They can support me on there, and they can also support me on. It seemed like a lot of people were staring away from the GoFundMe page. I don't know why. I think mainly because they felt like all the funds wasn't coming to me because they do take a fee out. So most times they do PayPal or Cash App, which is Tasha $Tasha 8011.
Okay.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Say it again.
Can you repeat it one more
Okay.
time?
For Cash App is Tasha 8011.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you for calling up again, and we definitely are here supporting you in your journey,
Definitely.
and
And we
just
definitely making
giving you
donations.
praise. Appreciate
Yeah.
you calling in
And
and share your story.
just, spread the word if you can about, just having people go and get their physicals. There's places where you can go for free and get it done, men and women, because men, I think at one point men didn't think, they're untouchable, but then when Beyonce's dad was diagnosed with breast cancer, it kind of woke up some men and were like, okay, well, we can get it too.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Just pay attention to your body. That's the most important thing. Pay attention to your body. Know, okay, if this is not right, I need my doctor to look at it. If you and your friends are like always talking and being free with each other, you should be the same way with your doctor and let them know exactly what's going on. Okay, this is what's going on with my body. It's changing, and can you look at me? Don't be ashamed to have someone look at you.
No, facts.
Facts. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Natasha.
Okay.
Okay, have a good
All
night.
right. You guys have a good night.
You
You
too.
too. Thank you.
And that's all the time we got, guys. Thank you so much for you guys tuning in. We got to thank our guests so much.
And for educating us
Yeah,
and being
definitely.
patient with us,
No, it's okay.
So, peace out, everyone. You know the time, live at 9. See you next week.
Happy Halloween.